Most men believe the fastest way to win a woman's heart is by chasing her. They text endlessly, flatter her at every opportunity, and rearrange their schedules just to prove their devotion. At first glance, it may seem like loyalty, even romance. But here is the unspoken truth. What comes too easily rarely holds value. Desire doesn't thrive where everything is handed over freely. It starves there. A man who offers himself without limit may think he is being honest, even noble, but in reality, he is unknowingly suffocating the spark that could have grown between them. Desire is not born from abundance. It is born from scarcity, from mystery, from the intoxicating sense that there is more to uncover. Think about it. A book that reveals its ending on the very first page never captivates you. A song that has no rise, no fall, no tension, leaves you unmoved. The same applies to attraction. When a man lays bare every detail of his life, his fears, his dreams, his daily routines, he believes he is building intimacy. What he is really building is predictability. And predictability is the death of passion. A woman's desire doesn't grow in the light, where everything is exposed. It grows in the shadows, where questions remain unanswered, where curiosity is allowed to breathe. She doesn't want an open book she can skim through in an afternoon. She wants the puzzle that lingers, the story whose pages reveal themselves one chapter at a time. This is where so many men fail before the game has even begun. They confuse availability with affection, and in doing so, they hand away the one thing that keeps a woman intrigued: mystery. Now, mystery doesn't mean silence. It doesn't mean being cold, distant, or unapproachable. Mystery means living with depth. It means you reveal yourself in fragments, never all at once. A smile that hints at a hidden story, a past experience you mention but never fully explain, a gesture that suggests layers beneath the surface. You allow her to see enough to be curious, but never enough to be certain. When she cannot fully read you, she leans in. She watches closer. She invests her energy trying to understand you. And in that effort, attraction grows. Because what the mind works hardest to grasp, it refuses to easily let go of. Think of the great figures of history, the rulers, the artists, the visionaries. None of them gave themselves away cheaply. They understood that a man whose life is vast and only partly revealed holds far more power than a man who empties his soul onto the table in the first meeting. A king does not explain every decision. A poet does not dissect every line of his verse. They give just enough to spark fascination, then retreat behind the veil of the unknown. And here is where the modern man must learn. When you surrender all of your mystery, you surrender your power. A woman who can predict every move you make has no reason to remain intrigued. She closes the book and places it back on the shelf. But if your chapters remain unfinished, if your story hints at more than it reveals, she will keep returning, eager to piece together the man who never quite fits into her grasp. Even in your conversations, this principle applies. When she asks about your past, don't give her the full autobiography in one sitting. Instead, share fragments, pieces that satisfy her curiosity while leaving gaps for her imagination to fill. When she tries to map out your daily life, don't hand her a blueprint. Give her the outline and let her wonder what fills the rest. For what her imagination creates will be far more powerful than anything you could ever say directly. This is not about deception, it is about rhythm. It is about learning the art of controlled revelation. You are not hiding because you are empty. You are holding back because you are full. Full of purpose, full of depth, full of a life that cannot be neatly summarized in a single encounter. Men often confuse mystery with neglect. They think withdrawing into silence will make them appear valuable. But silence without substance is nothing but a void. True mystery comes when you actually have something to protect. A mission, a craft, a vision for your life that she may glimpse but never fully own. That is when your absence feels powerful. That is when your presence feels rare. So the first law of desire is this: never reveal yourself too quickly. Let curiosity do its work. Leave questions unanswered. Leave pages unturned. Leave her with the sense that you are more than what she sees today. Because when a woman cannot fully understand you, she doesn't run away. She leans in. She keeps thinking, keeps wondering, keeps returning. And in that quiet pull of her curiosity, she begins to bind herself to you. Mystery is not the opposite of connection, it is the foundation of obsession. Picture this. A man meets a woman, and within days, he floods her with constant attention. His phone lights up with her name, and he answers within seconds. He cancels his plans, reshapes his schedule, and makes himself endlessly available. To him, this feels like devotion. To her, it feels like overexposure. Why? Because attention, when given without measure, loses its weight. Just like a candle burning non-stop in a dark room. It becomes invisible background light. But strike that same flame only in rare moments, and its glow feels sacred. It transforms the atmosphere. Your attention must work the same way. It is not infinite, it is not casual, it is currency. And the rarer it is, the more valuable it becomes. Controlled attention is not about cruelty, it is about rhythm. It is about learning when to give deeply and when to withdraw. Not out of manipulation, but out of respect for your own value. When you give your time in measured doses, you teach her that your presence cannot be taken for granted. You train her to treasure it, anticipate it, even crave it. This does not mean you avoid her or play cold. Quite the opposite. When you are with her, you must be magnetic. Look her in the eyes as if nothing else exists. Listen so deeply that she feels she is the only person in your world. In that moment, you give fully, but then you step away. You leave while the flame is still burning bright, not after it has burned down to ashes. That withdrawal creates the ache of incompletion. It leaves her mind replaying your words, your gestures, your silence. Just like a gambler who leaves the table mid-game, she feels compelled to return, desperate to finish what was left undone. Men who give too much too soon remove this tension entirely. They remove the hunger, they remove the thrill, they become predictable, and predictability is the slow poison that kills passion. Instead, you must become like the moon, sometimes bright and near, sometimes hidden and distant. Your presence should not feel routine. It should feel like an event. When you walk into her world, she should notice. When you disappear, she should miss you. Even the smallest gestures follow this law. Don't shower her with endless flattery that bloats her ego. Instead, give one sincere compliment that lingers in her mind for days. Don't reply to every message instantly. Let her feel that your time is pulled by forces greater than her whims, your purpose, your ambition, your mission. This is where scarcity comes in. A man without discipline gives himself away freely. A man with discipline gives his presence in controlled measures. He is not available at every moment because his life is already full. His goals, his friends, his craft, his growth. She does not own his time. She must earn it. And this is where the real transformation begins. Because once a woman begins to feel that your attention is something rare, she will start to measure herself by how much of it she can win. And once she measures, she begins to chase. Think of history's rulers. Kings and emperors were not seen wandering the streets, freely accessible to all. Their presence was rare, guarded, and precious. And because it was rare, it was revered. A single word from their lips carried the weight of 1,000 ordinary voices. You must carry yourself with the same gravity, not arrogance, discipline, not neglect, purpose. When you appear, bring value. When you withdraw, let her long for your return. This balance is the heartbeat of obsession. But here is where many fail. Scarcity without substance is emptiness. You cannot simply withdraw and expect her to chase if your life has no weight behind it. True scarcity only works when it protects something worth desiring. A man without mission is not mysterious, he is vacant. But a man whose days are filled with vision, ambition, and pursuit becomes irresistible precisely because his world does not revolve around her. This is also where emotional intrigue enters the stage. Because desire is not just about presence and absence, it is about contrast, warmth and coolness, certainty and mystery, comfort and challenge. If you are always warm, always agreeable, always predictable, she grows numb. But if you can move between closeness and distance, softness and sharpness, she will never find a steady rhythm. And it is that imbalance, that delicious unpredictability that keeps her coming back. She doesn't want endless comfort. She wants the thrill of discovery. She wants to feel alive in your presence. She wants to wonder, to guess, to crave. And you, by mastering controlled attention and emotional intrigue, become the man who gives her that experience. Remember this truth. People do not chase what they already own. They chase what feels just beyond their grasp. And when you live as a man who cannot be fully captured, who reveals just enough to fascinate but never enough to satisfy, her desire doesn't fade. It deepens. It binds her. She will not simply want you, she will need you. Most men believe attraction is about giving more affection, more reassurance, more attention. They believe love is kept alive by constant feeding, constant presence, constant comfort. But the paradox of desire is this: what is given without pause soon loses its taste. The human heart doesn't hunger for what it already holds. It hungers for what it fears it might lose. This is why scarcity and emotional intrigue are not tricks. They are the laws of desire. A woman may say she wants complete certainty, endless closeness, and perfect transparency, but the truth of her emotions whispers a different story. She wants suspense. She wants challenge. She wants the pulse of unpredictability, the way your presence can feel like a storm one day and a quiet sunrise the next. Think of a melody. If every note is the same, it becomes noise. But when music rises and falls, when it surprises you, when it moves between silence and explosion, it captures your soul. That is the art you must embody. Emotional intrigue is the heartbeat of obsession. It is not manipulation, it is alchemy. It is the weaving of warmth and distance, of certainty and mystery, of truth and silence. You are not there to smother her with comfort. You are there to awaken something deeper, to stir her curiosity, to test her spirit, to remind her that she is alive. When you live this way, she begins to feel something she cannot explain. She checks her phone not because you told her to, but because she hopes to see your name. She replays your words in her mind at night, wondering what you meant. She tells her friends about you, half proud, half confused, because you have become a puzzle that lingers even in your absence. And that is the secret. Your absence becomes louder than another man's presence. But this power is not born of cruelty. It is born of mastery over yourself. A man who cannot control his impulses, who chases when tested, who begs when withdrawn from, reveals his weakness. But the man who remains composed, who continues to move at his own rhythm, who lives by his mission first, that man cannot be broken. And that strength does not repel her, it pulls her in. Every test she gives, every silence she creates, every delay she throws your way is not to drive you off, it is to see if you will bend. And when you refuse to surrender your value, when you remain steady in your own law, you pass the test she doesn't even know she is giving. And in passing it, you do something far greater than attract her. You earn her respect. Respect is the root of obsession. For a woman may play with men she does not respect, but she will only chase the man she does. So what does this all mean for you? It means living as if your time, your presence, your energy, and your heart are treasures, not trinkets. It means knowing that your mystery is not a mask for emptiness, but a shield protecting a life of depth, vision, and substance. It means becoming the man who does not orbit around her world, but who builds a world so compelling that she wants to be part of it. And when you embody that truth, she will not simply desire you, she will obsess over you. Not because you begged for her attention, not because you surrendered everything at once, but because you gave her the one thing no other man dared to, the gift of pursuit. Desire is not about possession, it is about discovery. And when you let her discover you slowly, piece by piece, never fully, always just enough, you give her a journey she will never want to end. This is the final law. Live as a man whose value does not depend on her, but whose presence makes her feel she has touched something rare. Live as the flame that appears in moments of darkness, not the lamp that burns endlessly without notice. Live as the story that never reveals its final chapter, the mystery that remains unsolved, the song that lingers long after it has ended. Because the truth is this: women do not chase men who are everywhere, every time, for everyone. They chase the man who is rare, the man who cannot be summoned at will, the man whose presence feels like an event, whose absence feels like hunger, whose essence is unforgettable. That is the man she obsesses over. That is the man she cannot let go of. And when you live this way, you will discover what Machiavelli understood long ago. Power is not taken by force alone, it is given by choice. She will not run from you, she will run toward you. Not because you asked her to, because she cannot help herself.